All right. Hello and welcome to Party Connect. We interrupt your regularly scheduled Chris to bring you me. So I go by Birdwards. I've been playing against a lot of you on past episodes of this, and I'm excited to take a stab at hosting and writing one myself. Is the volume okay? Let me know in chat, like if I'm too loud, too soft, anything like that, or if there are any issues at all. Yeah, feel free to let me know in the Twitch chat. Very good. So, Party Connect is an interactive live stream game show where you, the viewers, can team up with friends and compete against others across the world, guessing what connects apparently random things. My name is Birdwards, and I'll be your host for the next half hour or so. If you're watching right now and want to join in on the fun, you can go to partyconnect.fun/20. So, welcome to all of the teams that have joined us so far, including Cerberus, Avram, Last Place, Kestrels, The Forks, Chinchillas, Two Separate Gorillas, Juner, Deep Rockers, UCB 1984, Bashers, Jerry, Divorced Beheaded Clived, Perked Up Pixels, Player, Colo, Collisters, Gleb, Intellect of Ours, Steven, Zvergasel, Agent Maggles, and Topper 1 and Agent Maggles 2. That's a total of 24 contestants. Got a good crop today. All right. Just a reminder, don't write any answers in chat. Don't use any search engines for help. Just rely on your wits and your quizzing abilities. So, if we are all ready, let us get started with round one. So, in round one, you'll be seeing up to 4 apparently random clues. You simply need to provide what connects them before time runs out. The fewer clues you require, the more points you get. Only one answer per question is allowed, and answers that are too generic or too specific may not be considered correct. So please be as precise as possible. So let's start with my favorite question, the bird. What is the connection between these 4 clues? Here is the first. All right. So these are all examples of renaissances. So Beyonce released an album titled Renaissance in 2022. The Disney Renaissance was a period of critical and commercial success for Disney animation after a series of flops in the 70s and 80s. The Harlem Renaissance was a revival of Black American arts and culture, and the Italian Renaissance was the cultural revival that popularized the term Renaissance in the first place. So yes, we are very specifically looking for the term Renaissance. So next up, we've got the fish question. What is the connection between these clues? Here's the first. All right, hang on just a moment while evaluating some of these. All right. So, let's go over these one by one. So, that first clue is a description of soil or dirt, or as some may call it, earth. When an oxidation reaction is visible, we see it as fire. The air is a mixture of gases, with nitrogen and oxygen being by far the most common, and water can be described as a compound of hydrogen and oxygen. So these are the four classical elements described in terms of their chemistry. So I will look specifically here for classical elements or the four elements or traditional elements, anything like that. If you just said elements, I think I am not going to accept it as not specific enough, since the chemical elements are also mentioned in the clues themselves. But yeah, classical elements in terms of modern chemical elements. So with that, let us get on to the ziggurat question. So this is a visual question. What is the connection between these picture clues? Here is the first. All right, so time is up on that one. Let's break these down again. So that first image is an artist's conception of an astronomical explosion known as a gamma ray burst, or GRB for short. The second image shows us a group of pixels using the red, green, blue color scheme, or RGB for short. The third image is Australia's Great Barrier Reef, or GBR for short. And the last image shows us the late U.S. Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, or RBG for short. So, the connection, these are all known by acronyms using the letters B, G, and R. In other words, their acronyms are anagrams of each other. If you just gave the acronym for the clue that was up at the time you wrote the answer, I'm not sure I can take that as an answer since they are all different acronyms. But let me see the way these individual ones are worded. Actually, yeah, you know what? Nobody really did that the way I was thinking they would do it. So yeah, if you got the three letters in your answer there somewhere, specifically the three letters B, G, and R, I think I will take it. In any case, there we have it. Oh, noted, Zvergasel. I will bring up the mic volume a little bit. Thank you. Hopefully that's a little better. Any case, let us move on to the sun question. Is the connection between these clues? Here's the first. All right. Just one moment. Okay. So, a perfect society is also known as a utopia. A forced choice between two unbearable options is often known as a Sophie's choice. A situation that cannot be escaped due to paradoxical rules is called a catch-22, and something that ruins its creator can be known as a Frankenstein. So these are all idioms that came from the titles of novels. And, even though I put it as the one-pointer, I'm not sure that's the most common use of Frankenstein as a word. The definition I have here was agreed on by pretty much every dictionary I checked, which is why it's here. But when I've heard people call something a Frankenstein, it's usually meant something cobbled together from spare parts. I mean, I've even heard Frankenstein used that way as a verb to mean the cobbling. So I'm curious, chat, what do you think? Which type of Frankenstein have you heard about more? But in any case, while we are mulling that over, let us go on to the water question. So, what is the connection between these clues? Here's the first. All right, time is up. So, just a moment. So, these are all things that are indicated by a 20-sided die. So, the Magic the Gathering example is kind of a tricky one since you don't actually roll any 20-sided dice during gameplay. However, you do start the game with 20 life points, and many players use a die to keep track of how many life points they have left by just turning it to the correct number. There are actually dice made for this purpose called spin-down counters. Anyways, Categories is a game where you have to name a bunch of things that start with a given letter, and that letter is determined by the roll of a 20-sided die. And also, yes, that is a 20-sided die floating inside the mysterious blue liquid of a Magic 8-ball. And finally, when people think of 20-sided dice, they probably think of Dungeons & Dragons, which use the dice to determine all sorts of things. I was on the fence about whether or not to accept just 20 or there are 20 as an answer. But I think I will, since especially if you guessed it before number one, because all of the other three, like there are 20, is like an accurate descriptor of those things. So I think I will take that. Anyway, finally, we have the ear of wheat question. What is the connection between these clues? Here is the first. right. Time is up. I don't have much to say for this one, just that they're all called sting. So, if you're not sure what a sting is in the context of music, here is an example of a sting right now. So, musical stings are usually used for transitions like that. But speaking of music, you may have noticed that round one is missing the usual audio question. Well, Twitch doesn't exactly have a great track record when it comes to popular music being played on their platform. As a music lover, I have an idea for how to deal with that problem, but it's not ready yet. To my fellow music lovers, all I can say for now is stay tuned for a future episode. Any case, here are the current standings after round one. We have the Bashers in first place with 13, followed by Collisters with 11, Avram and Cerberus each with 10, Deep Rockers with 8, Divorced Beheaded Clive, Gleb, Agent Maggles 2, and Player all with 7, Perked Up Pickles, Perked Up Pixels, Top Row 1, Intellect Devourers, and Zvergasel with 4, Colo and Two Separate Gorillas with 3, The Forks with 2, and last place with 1, though not in last place, notably, but with the rest yet to score. But I didn't actually scroll the leaderboard, but you can see the remainder of the board. But yes, good work all, and let's keep it up for round 2. So, in round 2, you will be seeing up to 3 apparently random clues. You simply need to say what comes forth in the sequence. Again, the fewer clues you require, the more points you get. Remember, the answer you provide is not the connection between the clues, but rather what you expect to appear forth. So, let's start with the bird question. We're going to be starting with the visual question right off the bat. So, what do you expect to see forth in this sequence of pictures? Here's the first. All right, time is up. Hang on just one moment for some rulings here. All right, so the first picture is a character from the Star Wars sequel trilogy. Her name is Maz Kanata. The second picture is Brian May, guitarist for the band Queen. Apologies for everyone who saw May and thought I might have been doing months. The third picture is reigning Formula One champion Max Verstappen. So, if we have Maz, May, and Max, we're just going backwards through the alphabet. Next would be Ma. So, anything representing a mouth, especially a fearsome one, will do. I will also accept Mother, particularly from Scotland or the American South. So, next up, we have the fish question. What is fourth in this sequence of clues? Here's the first. up. So, Big Sur, Monterey, and Ventura are all places in California, but there is a bit more context you need for this one. They are also versions of macOS, the operating system used by Apple computers. Specifically, they're the 3 most recent versions, and the first 3 after Apple decided to stop using the long-running OS X designation. Big Sur is macOS 11, Monterey is macOS 12, and Ventura is macOS 13. So the answer is macOS 14, which is currently in beta and will be released later this year, Sonoma. All right, next up, the Ziggurat question. What is fourth in this sequence of clues? Here's the first. Okay, so the subgenre of strategy games here is known as 4X, short for Explore, Expand, Exploit, and Exterminate. The game Civilization is probably the most famous example of this subgenre. That 2002 action film starring Vin Diesel is Triple X. The band known for songs including Intro and Crystallized is called the XX. So, we need something represented by a single X, such as the social network formerly known as Twitter. There's a bunch of other possibilities here. I see in the guesses we have Roman numeral for 10, the Greek letter chi, or a kiss. Didn't think of that one. Also, I would accept Treasure on a Map, Ed Sheeran's second album, even though it's technically called Multiply. Oh yeah, we got one more guess here called Mulder's Files. I really like that one. But yeah, also, I do want to congratulate Bashers, Intellect Devourers, and Deep Rockers for the first 5-pointer of the game. Congratulations to the 3 of you. So, but yeah, anything represented by a single X will do. Next up, we got the sun question. What appears fourth in this sequence of clues? Here's the first. Okay. Yeah, a moment to evaluate some of these. Okay. So, the answer is... So, I saw a lot of people guessing Kipsang again. The classic thing where, like, if you don't know the answer to a sequence question, just repeat the first answer again. Unfortunately for you, the answer is Kipchoge again. So these are the names of the most recent holders of the marathon world record. Eliud Kipchoge first set the world record in 2018, then beat his own record in 2022, hence why he appears twice on this list. All right, next up, we've got the water question. What appears fourth in this sequence? Here's the first. Okay. All right. Hang on just a moment here. I'm going to need to do some research for some of these answers, but we shall see in just a moment. But so the key to this question is that all the words here are abbreviations. Specifically, pan is short for pansexual, ace is short for asexual, and trans is short for transgender. As for the numbers, that is the number of the stripes on those groups' respective pride flags. So for the answer, we need a pride flag with 6 stripes, the most famous example being the rainbow flag. I went with LGBT because it's an abbreviation like the first 3, but anything that makes it clear you're talking about the rainbow flag, such as Gay 6 or Pride 6, I will accept, as will any other 6-stripe pride flag. That is what I will need to do research on for some of these. In any case, while that is going, I think we will go on to the ear of wheat question, and I will look up some of these while doing that. So, what is fourth in this sequence of clues? Here is the first. Okay, it's questions like this that make me wish I could hear all of you, so I could hear your collective reaction to that curveball at clue 3. As you might have guessed, 21 and 1 do not represent numbers here, but they are titles, specifically titles of best-selling albums. And yes, these are global sales numbers here. So the best-selling album of the 2010s was 21 by Adele, named after her age at the time of recording. In the 2000s, it was a compilation album by the Beatles called One, because it consisted of their number 1 hits. And for the 90s, I have here Whitney Houston's soundtrack to the film The Bodyguard. That said, thanks to incomplete data, it's not 100% certain what the best-selling album of the 90s one was. The Bodyguard is here because it has the highest claimed number of sales, and that claim is widely deemed credible. But Shania Twain's Come On Over has the highest number of provable sales. However, I don't think using that album would have made the question any easier, so I stand by it as written. The best-selling album of the 80s is much more certain, though, because it's also the best-selling album of all time, Michael Jackson's Thriller. All right. After round 2, we got the Bashers in first with an impressive 24, followed by Deep Rockers at 21. Avram at 17, Collisters with 15, Agent Maggles 2, Cerberus, and Agent Maggles 2 and Cerberus with 14, Gleb, Divorced to Beheaded Clive, and Player with 13, two separate gorillas with 10, Intellect Devourers with 9, Topper 1 with 7, Perked Up Pixels with 4, Zvergacel with 4, the Forks also with 4, Cola with 3, Last Place with 1. All right. Up next is The Wall. So, in round 3, you will be given 2.5 minutes to sort 16 jumbled clues into 4 connecting groups, and then 1 minute to provide connections for each of the 4 groups. Every group you find is worth 1 point. Every correct connection you provide is worth 1 point. If you find all 4 groups and provide all 4 connections correctly, you will get 2 bonus points for a total of 10 points. So you may find that more than 4 clues might fit into any given category, but there is only one possible solution where all 4 categories have exactly 4 clues. You will be limited to 20 incorrect guesses before the wall is frozen. Good luck. All right, time is up. So, here is the wall resolved into its 4 groups. You can earn additional points by identifying what the connection is for each group. Let's start with the first. What is the connection for this group? Okay. These can all be preceded by Flight of the. So, Flight of the Bumblebee is an orchestral piece. Flight of the Concords is a musical comedy duo. The Flight of the Earls is a watershed moment in the history of Ireland. And Flight of the Navigator is a sci-fi film. All right, next up, what is the connection for this group? Okay, so these all begin with U.S. coins: quarter, nickel, dime, and penny. What's the connection for this group? All right. So, yes, that is not mate at that clue. That's mate. These are all herbal teas. So I will accept just teas, even though technically none of these contain the tea plant. So they are not true teas, but people call them tea all the time. So yeah, they're teas. Herbal teas. And finally, all right. Looking through a lot of different ways of wording that. But yes, there's our sailors. Was it a little too mean to have 3 red herrings for this category? I hope you all managed all right there. In any case, let's take a look at the scores. So, our standings going into the final round. Basher's still in first with 34. Deep Rockers still close behind with 31. Gleb up 4 spots into third place with 23 points, followed by Avram with 22, Cerberus with 21, Intellect Devourers with 19, Divorced Beheaded Clive with 18, Collisters, 2 Separate Gorillas, and Agent Maggles 2 with 17 each, Player with 16, Zvergasel with 14. Topper 1 with 10, Perked Up Pixels, the Forks with 9 each, Colo with 8, and last place with 2. All right. Now it's all down to the missing vowels round. Did I say lound? In this final round, vowels have been removed from well-known names, phrases, and sayings, with the remaining consonants randomly respaced. You simply need to identify the disguised clues by filling in the missing vowels. Every clue you correctly identify is worth 1 point. However, you will lose 1 point for every incorrect answer. Unanswered clues do not affect your score. If you are the first to answer a clue correctly, you will receive a bonus point. So the clues will come up in connected groups of 4, and you will get the connections up front. So our first category is things that are having their 100th anniversary this year, 2023. Good luck. Right, I hope you've been counting. That last one was Party Connect and 94. That is, of course, assuming that you are the first person to answer on every single missing vowels question, as well as, of course, getting a perfect 5-point gamble on every single question round 1 and 2, and a perfect wall. Basically, it's about as unlikely as an 18 in golf, but would be an impressive feat nonetheless. In any case, before we get to the final standings, I would like to acknowledge the software developer who is not here with us today, Chris. If you could spare a donation, that would really help him out and keep the software free. Like, I do game development too. I know like how much work this takes behind the scenes. It's a lot more than it looks. Any donations, that would be like a huge help for him, and help keep this series going. So if you are watching this episode live or recorded, be sure to give me a follow on Twitch if you feel like, and do some other things that I don't remember exactly what you'd want to do on Twitch because it's been about 2 years since I last did a live stream. But nonetheless, I will be putting the VOD of this on my YouTube channel as well. Let's drop a link to that in the chat. Since we've got time, there is nothing of huge interest on my channel at the moment, unless you are interested in seeing the trailer for the indie game I made several years ago. But nonetheless, there's that channel in the chat. In any case, be sure to tune in next time. Chris will be back next week on Sunday, September 17th, 2023 at 4:30 p.m. GMT. GMT minus 4? Oh, yes. Yeah. Sorry, it took me a moment. 4:30 p.m. GMT minus 4, which is Eastern Daylight Time. That is correct. Or 8:30 p.m. Universal Time. Your time zone may vary. I am planning to do another episode as well. I do not have enough material for a future episode yet because I am not nearly as prolific a question writer as Chris, but hopefully within like a month or two, you'll be seeing from me again. And also, if you want to do what I did and write some questions and host your own episode, feel free to sign up to create and host episodes like this one. So you can visit the live stream schedule in the Party Connect website or app. There should be a link to apply to be a streamer there. All right. So our final standings. Let us go from the bottom up, starting with last place with 4. Perked Up Pixels with 13, Colo with 16, The Forks with 19, Player with 21. Next we have Topper 1, also with 21, Asvergasel with 24, Collisters with 25, Two Separate Gorillas with 26, Agent Maggles 2 with 27, The Intellect Devourers with 29, and our top 6, Avram with 33, Divorced Beheaded Clive with 34, Cerberus also with 34, Gleb with 35, Deep Rockers with 42, and the Bashers holding their first place position with an amazing 48 points. Congratulations, Bashers. And thank you all for coming, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. Yeah, let me know if there's anything you would like me to do different next time or any other suggestions you have. Until then, until next time, goodbye.